Have you ever found yourself wondering, why do I keep breaking in the same place over and over again? Or maybe you've looked at smart, capable people you know and just wondered why they suddenly collapse. Well, today we're going to explore a framework called human braining. And trust me, it's not just another personality test. It's more like a map to the very architecture of the mind, a way of explaining why we think and choose and feel the way we do.
It all really starts with those universal questions, right? The ones that kind of bubble up when we're trying to make sense of our lives, and especially the people in them.
You know the feeling I'm talking about? That frustrating loop where you just hit the same wall time and time again. Maybe it's in a relationship or your career, or maybe it's just a battle inside your own head. It always feels like it's some kind of personal failing, doesn't it? But is it? And it's not just us. We see it happen to other people too. People who are talented, driven, totally on top of their game, and then they just burn out. They shut down. Or they make these decisions that seem to come from completely out of nowhere, and we're all left standing there wondering, how did things go so wrong?
So here's the big idea. What if these patterns aren't random at all? What if the chaos we feel isn't some flaw in our character, but actually a predictable feature of a system that's operating under a whole lot of pressure? The core idea of human braining is that beneath the surface of all our behaviors, there's a hidden architecture. And the thing is, if it has a structure, well, that means it can be understood. It can be mapped.
And to really get a clear picture of this architecture, we can turn to a really old fable. It's this beautiful metaphor that gets right to the heart of our deepest, most human conflicts.
Okay, so imagine a swan, and it's tied to a cart. Its entire being, every instinct is pulling upward toward the sky. This is the part of us that seeks identity, purpose, a deep sense of inner truth. It wants to know who we really are.
Now, tied to that very same cart is a pike. But the pike isn't looking up at the sky. It's diving forward urgently into the water ahead. This is the part of us that's driven by action, by momentum, by that relentless need to just get things done.
And finally, there's a crab. Now, the crab couldn't care less about the sky or the water. It's pulling sideways, scrambling toward the shore, because it's seeking security, control, and a stable, predictable world.
So, what happens when you have three incredibly powerful forces all pulling in three completely different directions? The cart doesn't just stay put, it shatters. And look, this is so much more than a story about animals. This is the root archetype of human conflict. It's the war we feel inside ourselves, and it's the hidden source of so many of our misunderstandings with each other.
This fable basically hands us the key to understanding three core logics within the mind. Now, don't think of them as rigid personality types. It's better to see them as our inner compasses, the fundamental ways we find our bearings, especially when life gets complicated.
So first up, we have the swan. This represents what the system calls the bee-brainer. This is the mind that orients its entire world around inner coherence, deep meaning, and authenticity.
For the bee-brainers, literally every choice, every action gets measured against this one core question. If something feels false or out of step with who they are, their entire system can just grind to a halt. For them, authenticity isn't a preference. It's like oxygen.
Okay, next is the do-brainer, and that's our pike. This is the mind that finds its direction through movement, through tackling a challenge, through the sheer act of getting things done.
See, for a do-brainer, clarity doesn't come from sitting around and thinking about it. Clarity comes from acting. Momentum is their natural state, and standing still feels like a kind of death. They find their truth in the doing.
And finally, we have the have-brainer, our crab. This is the mind that finds its way by building systems, creating clear frameworks, and making sure everything is safe and stable.
A have-brainer really thrives on clarity, predictability, and control. They build the structures that allow everything else to function and to last. To them, chaos is the enemy, and a sense of order is the ultimate form of safety.
So understanding these three ways of thinking is step one. But where this system gets really insightful is when it shows us what happens when they're pushed too far. Because a collapse isn't a sign of weakness. It's a predictable pattern that happens when an internal system gets completely overloaded.
So think of it like this. Each logic has two sides. In a thriving state, a bee-brainer feels that deep sense of alignment. A do-brainer has incredible momentum, and a have-brainer creates life-giving stability. But when our capacity, and that's really just our ability to handle pressure, when that gets exceeded, our greatest strengths become our biggest vulnerabilities. That deep alignment twists into a painful disconnection. Powerful momentum spirals into burnout, and that comforting stability hardens into a fearful, rigid control. Each one breaks in a way that's a perfect shadow of its strength. And this framework doesn't just explain what's going on inside our own heads. It's a really powerful key for unlocking our relationships. It shows us why we so often talk right past each other, even when we think we're on the exact same page.
This is where it gets really fascinating. Let's just take a simple word like success. For a B-brainer, success means feeling seen and affirmed for who they truly are. For a do-brainer, success is about completing the mission, winning the challenge. For a have-brainer, success is building a stable, reliable system that's going to last. We're all using the same words, but we're speaking three completely different cognitive languages.
Let's make this super real for a second. Imagine you send a text to someone and you get no reply. A B-brainer's mind might immediately go to the relationship. Something's wrong with us. We're disconnected. A do-brainer might barely even notice. We're all busy. It's not a priority. But a have-brainer sees a break in the system. That's not the normal pattern. What changed? It's the same event, but it creates three completely different and equally valid internal realities.
And this is why human braining isn't about putting people into boxes. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about giving us a map to see the invisible architecture that's shaping our behavior and the behavior of everyone around us.
And that, right there, is its true power. This system isn't here to tell you what to do. It's a lens that finally shows you why you do what you do. It gives you a whole new language for self-understanding, and maybe even more importantly, a profound tool for empathy. You start to see past the surface of someone's actions and recognize the underlying logic, that deep human need that's driving them.
What we've looked at today is really just a glimpse into a much deeper, more intricate system. It's a map that reveals not only our greatest strengths and our most predictable breaking points, but also the incredible potential we have when we're truly aligned. And it leaves us with one final, essential question. Once you can see the invisible architecture of your own mind, how will you choose to build your life?